A ratio is a way of keeping track of several related quantities that have to stay in proportion. For example, in recipes, you can cook twice as much if you double the amount of every ingredient. Or when dividing up costs or sharing out profits, we want to do so in a way that fairly corresponds to how much each person has contributed. When we draw a map or scale diagram, we want every element of the map to be exactly in proportion to what it represents in the real world. And we can also use ratios to solve problems involving rates. If you earn $83 in 4 hours, how long do you have to work to earn $150? Ratios are always written horizontally, with a colon between each element. So, since the ratio is written horizontally, you need to work vertically down the page. Keep the colons and the elements all lined up, and whatever you do to one element of the ratio, you have to do the same to all the parts. But it has to be a multiplication or division. You can't add or subtract the same amount from each part of the ratio. That doesn't work. Proportion is based on multiplying and dividing. Like fractions, ratios can also be simplified, or written in simplest form. That means getting all the elements to be whole numbers with no common factors. But since ratios can have more than two parts, you may sometimes have to think carefully to do so. Here's an example of a problem involving ratios. A mixture is made up with liquid plant fertilizer and water in the ratio of 2 to 5. That means 2 parts of fertilizer for every 5 parts of water. First, how much water do I need to mix with 300 millilitres of fertilizer? Well, let's set up a ratio. Fertilizer and water are mixed in the ratio 2 to 5. Always put headings at the top of the ratio so you don't get confused about what's what. Here I have 300 ml of fertilizer, so put that in the column for fertilizer. Notice I'm working down the page, keeping everything lined up where it belongs. So, how much water do I need to mix with 300 ml of fertilizer? Well, it's just like a fraction. Whatever I do to one thing, I do to everything. What did I do to 2 to make it into 300? If I multiply 2 by 150, I get 300. So multiply the other side by 150 as well. 5 times 150 is 750. 750 millilitres of water for 300 millilitres of fertilizer. The same process works the other way. How much fertilizer do I need to mix with 200 millilitres of water? Well, set it out the same way. Fertilizer to water is mixed in the ratio of 2 to 5. Again, include the headings so you get things in the right places, and work vertically down the page. Now I have 200 ml of water, so put that under the water column. How much fertilizer do I need to mix with that? Well, what do I do with 5 to get 200? What do I multiply 5 by to get 200? If it's a bit hard to work out, here's what to do. Divide the new amount, the one you want, by the old. That'll give you the fraction that will transform the old into the new. 200 divided by 5 is 40, so 5 times 40 is 200. See how that works? Now do the same to the other side. 2 times 40 is 80. 80 millilitres of fertilizer to 200 millilitres of water. Okay, now a different question. How much of each, liquid fertilizer and water, is needed to make up 2,000 millilitres of mixture? If I have fertilizer and water in the ratio 2 to 5, how much of each do I need to get a total of 2,000 millilitres, 2 litres? That's a different question. I don't have any value to put on the next line in either column. How am I going to solve this? It's an example of a kind of problem called sharing. Ratios are often used to solve sharing problems like this. Let me show you a couple of simpler examples and then we'll come back to this one. I've seen and taught many different ways to solve sharing problems with ratios, but this one is by far the easiest way I know. Just add a total column at the end. For example, Alice, Bob and Charlie are sharing a bag of 35 lollies in the ratio 2 to 4 to 1. That means Alice gets 2, Bob gets 4 and Charlie gets 1. Then Alice 2 more, Bob 4 more, Charlie 1 more, and so on. If there's 35 lollies in total, how many lollies will each person get? To work this out, just add a total column. What's the total of all the shares each of them gets? What's the total across the top row? 2 and 4 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, and I have 35 lollies to give out. 7 into 35 goes 5 times, so multiply every column by 5. Alice gets 10 lollies, Bob gets 20, and Charlie gets 5. You can always double check your answer here. Make sure the numbers at the bottom do in fact add up to the total. 10 plus 20 plus 5 is indeed 35, so I know I'm right. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Let's try another. Delma and Elise share a taxi home. Delma travels 8 kilometres and Elise travels 12 kilometres. The total cost of the taxi hire is $16. How much should each person pay? Well, we'd like to share the cost fairly based on the distance they travelled, so let's use a ratio. Delma and Elise travelled 8 and 12 kilometres respectively. Notice I'm still writing headings at the top of the columns and I'm always working down the page. Okay, now add a total column. 8 plus 12 is 20. How much was the total fare? $16. So what do I multiply 20 by to get 16? Remember that trick I told you? Divide the new number by the old. 16 over 20. So, multiply everything in the ratio by the same fraction, 16 over 20. You'll probably want a calculator. Delma should pay $6.40 and Elise should pay $9.60. Double check. Does $6.40 plus $9.60 add up to $16? Yes, it does. Too easy. Alright, let's go back to our fertiliser and water question. We had fertiliser and water mixed in the ratio 2 to 5. How much of each is needed to make 2,000 ml of mixture? Well, let's add a total column. 2 plus 5 makes 7. Now I need 2,000 millilitres in total. Okay, so multiply everything by 2,000 on 7, the new amount divided by the old. Get your calculator and round off everything carefully. 2 times 2,000 on 7, rounded off to the nearest mill, is 571 millilitres. 5 times 2,000 on 7 is 1,429, again rounded off to the nearest millilitre. And double check. 571 plus 1429 is 2,000. Good. Now it's important when you do this that you don't round off too early. You can't go 2,000 divided by 7 is 286, rounded off to the nearest whole, then 2 times 286 and 5 times 286, because you'll actually end up with numbers that don't add to exactly 2,000. Try it. Don't round that fraction off. Use it exactly as it is. Don't round off until the very end of the problem. And that's how to share with ratios.